Hi, do you find yourself looking too much in the rearview mirror of your own life? Do you focus too much on the past, on your memories of better times or what you think were better times in your life? It is an easy trap to fall into. It is especially easy the older you are to fall into that trap, but even people in their 30s and 40s can focus too much on their childhood or their teenage years or their 20s and think, oh, I wish I could go back to that. So, I'm going to talk today about some of the dangers of focusing too much on the past, as well as how to have a healthier relationship with your memories and dealing with your own past. Hi, I'm Allison, and welcome to my Elder Gal channel. If you get something out of the video today, I would really appreciate it if you would tap that like button and subscribe to the channel. It would really help me out. Thanks a lot. So, what are the dangers of focusing too much on the past? Well, I would say one of the biggest dangers is depression. If you are a person who already suffers somewhat from depression, and now you spend almost all your days focusing on what you used to have in life instead of what is going on now or what might happen in the future, the problem is you kind of go down a spiral. And you're caught up in all these memories, and unfortunately, we tend to glorify those memories as well. Um, Instead of thinking about how it really was, where pretty much any point in our life, there are good things that happen to us, and there are not so good things to happen to us. So, even in the past, which we think was so wonderful, trust me, there was not good stuff going on. So, depression is a big problem, especially if you're reminiscing too much, if you're too locked into those memories, if that becomes your reality, basically living in the past. Another danger is you're going to alienate other people. You're basically going to, people aren't going to want to listen to you tell story after story after story about what you did and who you were and all the great successes you had, or, even if you talk about failures. I live in a community where there's a guy that lives here that basically talks a lot about all the great things he did in the past. And I don't know, it's possible some of them are true, maybe some of them aren't true, I'm not sure. But I know that people get tired of listening to that. And it is a really common trap to fall into, to think, oh, people are going to be fascinated by the stories about my life. No, not all the time they aren't. Maybe if you do it once in a while, they will, but you can't just feed them a steady diet of stories of your past. So you will bore other people, you will drive them away, whatever. The third thing is that you lose your focus on the present. So you're not living in the present moment, you're living in the past. And the problem with that is you're not dealing with the present moment. You're not dealing with the issues that maybe you need to deal with, either positive things or negative things or a combination of those things. You're just not dealing with that. And so you're kind of starting to live in what I would call an unreality. It's not based on things that are going on in the moment. It's based on some memories of things that are happening in the past. And that divorces you from reality to some degree. So that's a danger. And then another danger is then you don't focus or think about what you still want to do in your life. And honestly, unless you're a person who's really old and bedbound and you really can't do anything, okay, and the only thing you're able to do is just think about the past, okay, I grant you, if you're in that situation, go ahead, think about the past all the time, because maybe that is all you're able to do. But a lot of people are not in that situation. I would say the majority of people are not in that situation. So as long as you have life ahead of you, then still have plans or dreams or things that you want to do in your life. That's what gives us motivation. That's what moves us forward in our life. I remember when my mother, who lived to be 90 years old, I remember when she was in her 70s, and we were on the phone talking one day about something, and she made a comment. She goes, "Oh, I'm too old to change." And I said to her, well, your mind's still functional. You're still fairly healthy. Why are you too old to change? Oh, I'm just too old to change. Well, she lived for another, 12, 15 years, something like that. She certainly could have had a better life towards the end of her life than she did if she had maybe adjusted some things in her own life. So I'm not real compassionate towards people who say, oh, I'm too old to change, or I can't change because I'm getting older. Anybody can change. As long as your mind is functional and you're not so sick that can actually do some things, okay, you can still make adjustments to your life. So anyway, you can't plan for the future if you're focusing on the past. So that's a real danger. I keep thinking of that song of Bruce Springsteen that he did called Glory Days. I don't know if any of you have heard that. But that really kind of sums up the kind of sadness that is associated with only focusing on your past. In that song, they're basically reminiscing about, being, popular in high school and having these wonderful times in high school. And that was kind of the pinnacle of their life. That's sad. If you're in your 30s or 40s and you're only focusing on the good things you did in high school, well, you've missed the boat. Like, there's all these things you could have done in your 20s or 30s or 40s. So the thing is, that song really kind of encapsulates some of the dangers of living in the past. So what can you do? How can you have a healthier relationship with your past and with memories, and honor those memories, but not get stuck in them? Okay, so I'm going to give you some suggestions here. One of the suggestions is for yourself, create a certain amount of time. Maybe it's 2 or 3 hours a week. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe you only do it a couple times a month. But devote those times to reminiscing. And, pull out your photos or your memorabilia and really allow yourself to really think about your past in a very full way, so that you actually go back to that for that period of time. But it's in a prescribed amount of time. You're not just spending days and days on end thinking about the past. You do it, you could do something called a Memory Monday. Maybe you do it a little bit every Monday, like an hour every Monday. Whatever way you want to plan that, do it in a set amount of time. So whether it's a few hours a week or a few hours a month, whatever you want to do. I'm sure as people get older, I think they do spend a little more time doing that. So if you need to spend a few hours every week doing that, do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You just don't want it to take over the rest of your life. Now, in a related thing, you can also, if you have friends and family that you're around a lot, tell them stories, but don't do it every time you see them. Don't sit there and bore them with the same stories over and over again. Sit down with them like at a set time, like maybe once a month you have story time with, grandma or grandpa, right? And make that a special treat that you're going to tell them a specific story from your life. That can be a really special thing that bonds you to whether it's your kids or your grandkids. And but talk to them about it and say, hey, could we do this, once in a while, where I'm going to share parts of my life? And I'm sure actually on those terms your family would embrace that. Related to that is you could also journal about events in your life. You could do a blog, you could do things on YouTube, you could and do that, kind of leave a legacy for your family. So you are thinking about the past, but you're doing it in a very productive way. You're writing it down for them so that they have something of yours about your life even after you're gone someday. So that's another good thing, healthy way of dealing with that. Another thing to do is with people your own age or around your own age, have time when you get together, whether it's for coffee or you go out to eat, and each of you tells one story. Maybe tell a positive story from your life, or maybe you do a time where you each tell a negative story, like this is the happy thing and this is the sad thing. So that can be fun because you're sharing, but again, you're not overwhelming each other with story upon story upon story. It just becomes, like each of you gives a little snippet each time you get together for that. That can also be really a good way to deal with your past. Another thing that you can do is start focusing more on the present. So the best way to really put the past in perspective is to also give a lot of energy towards the present, and practice mindfulness techniques such as I use meditation. There's any number of things you can do to increase mindfulness. But by doing that, you're focusing more on now. Now, you'll still have thoughts of the past that come in, but that's okay. It's kind of a fleeting thing. They come into your mind and they kind of go, and you don't have to really just, you know, focus on them too much. And so that's a good thing to do. So there are healthy ways of dealing with the past and putting it into perspective. What is important is the past is an important part of us. It's an important part of our lives. And so it's not that I want you to forget it. I certainly wouldn't want to forget things in my life. I do want to add one thing too. It is important in remembering the past to remember that not everything was good. And sometimes it's good to remember the bad stuff. And remember that for every positive memory you have, there was probably something not so good happening around the same time. That helps you not think that, oh, all the good times are gone. I'll never have those great times again. Well, yeah, there were great times, but there were also bad times, just like there could be now. So anyway, the past is an important part of who we are, but the important thing is not to focus too much on it, not to dwell on it. You know, I'm sure you've heard the phrase that the present is called the present because it's a gift. The present is called the present because it's a gift, and that's really true. It is very important to put a lot of focus on your present life and make the most of it that you can. I believe in that. I believe it's healthy for everyone to do that. And so try to find a way to make peace with your past, put it in perspective, give it small amounts of time to focus on, but not too much. And I think that will help you deal with all the overwhelming kind of nature of our memories. So until next time, be well and keep moving forward. Take care.